So, first of all, though, please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Navami and Jayanti, these are very important days for us. Of course, we are known as the Hare Krishna movement, and generally speaking, we focus on Lord Krishna, but Lord Ram is not different from Lord Krishna. Actually, they are one in two. They are one in two. And this is why in the Maha Mantra we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I was recently in Ayodhya in September, and we visited the temple of young Lao Ram. It was very nice, very nice. And it's very complicated getting inside, but once you get inside, it's just really nice. And we moved around Ayodhya for some days, visiting different of the temples and sacred places, and we went to the Arti and the Samayu one evening, which was very nice. And the mood in Ayodhya of the people, the local people, devotees, was just amazing, actually, and wonderful. Just amazing. They are so dedicated to Lord Ram. Actually, I had not been there before to Ayodhya, although I've been to India so many times. I first went in 1976. But the mood was just absolutely wonderful, and such dedication to Lord Ram, and such a mood of service to Lord Ram. So to begin, I'm going to read a verse from Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana, spoken by Hanuman, in which he makes very important point. So this verse goes, Bhavabandha Chidetasyai Spriyayami Na Muktaye Vavandrapuraham Dasa Iti Yatra Vilupyate. So Hanuman is saying, I do not desire liberation that cuts the bondage of material life, because in that state of liberation, awareness that you are the master and I am the servant disappears. So Hanuman is in that mood. Does baby have a mother? Yes, Hanuman is in that mood of being a servant. And that is the mood. That is the mood we must all try to cultivate and develop, because our eternal nature, not just the nature of these material bodies we're inhabiting now, but our eternal nature within is that we are servants. We are servants of the Supreme Lord, and that we see so vividly in Hanuman. So anyway, I'll tell some pastimes, and here and there we'll try and bring out mood that Hanuman has of being a servant. Bhavan Prabhur. Bhavan, if you know a little Sanskrit, Bhavan is the respectful way of saying you. Like aap, you could say in Hindi. But in Sanskrit, Bhavan Prabhur, you are my master. And aham dasa, I'm your servant. So now, you may be very familiar, or you may not be, I'm not sure, with all these pastimes involving Hanuman. But let us just see. I'll recite a couple of pastimes, and let's just see, how familiar you really are. Now, you probably know that Hanuman is described as being the son of Lord Shiva, but also the son of Lord Vayu. Now, here in Gujarati Loka, in Capetown, you're aware of that, isn't it? He's known in these two ways, and sometimes people can't understand, it's difficult to be the son of two people. But this is what is said. So now, do you know the story behind that? Anyway, whether you do or not, I will tell you. So what happened was that up there in Kailash, where Shiva, Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati live, so they were having some pastimes and enjoying each other's company in the forest there. And they saw one monkey, and then somehow they got the inspiration to take the forms of monkeys. People like this, people on this level, can do that. So they assumed the form of monkeys, but while in the forms of monkeys, they happened to conceive a child. While in the form of monkeys. But then they came out of their monkey forms to their regular, not exactly human, because they're way beyond us human beings, but sort of human-like forms. Usual forms, you could say, of Shiva and Parvati. And Parvati said, look, my dear husband, respected husband, I already have one child who has the head of an elephant. I don't want to have one who's a monkey. So, we have conceived a child here, but it's a monkey, and I don't want to give birth to that child. So then Lord Shiva, he agreed, all right. And he, by some mystical, magical means, which for someone like him is just nothing, he took the embryo out of the womb of Parvati, alive, unharmed. And now he's thinking who to give it to. And he thought first of Agni, because Lord Shiva had done some favors for Agni. That's another story, long story. But then he thought, no, not Agni, because I already got him to do something for me, to reciprocate with me. So who? Then he thought, Vayu, he hasn't done anything for me for a long time. So he approached Vayu and said, well, you know what it's like when someone is a really big person and you are sort of connected to them, but you're more like a little person, then if they ask a favor of you, you're kind of obliged that, okay, I'll do it, whatever it may be. So like this Lord Shiva, who's a very big man, approached Vayu, who's also big, but not on the level of Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva said, I want you to do me a favor. Can you please take this embryo? It's the embryo of a monkey. Can you please take it and sort of deal with it, look after it? So Vayu took the embryo. But what's Vayu going to do with it? He can't. He has no womb to put the embryo in. So he thought, yes, I know. I will give this embryo to the wife of the king of the monkeys. Means not just like, I don't know if you get monkeys around here, around Rylands, but in Durban, get plenty of monkeys. Yeah. So now this was the wife of the king of the monkeys, and they're not ordinary monkeys like the ones that run around stealing food sometimes. These monkeys, they can speak. And they can speak, not just can speak, but they do speak Sanskrit, Devanagari, the language of the Devas. They speak it. No Bhojpuri, no kitchen Hindi. Or do you have kitchen Gujarati? I suppose you must do. Yes. Right, okay. So they speak pure Sanskrit, although they're in the bodies of monkeys. So he then, Vayu, took the embryo, which he was literally carrying around, literally, and he approached the queen of the monkeys, the wife of the king. And what was her name? What was her name? Anjana. Anjana, yes, that's right. So her name was Anjana, and he handed over the embryo to her. And she also has great mystical powers. She placed it within her womb and did actually give birth to Hanuman, like in sort of, so to speak, kind of the normal way. This is how Hanuman came into this world, and how he's considered the son of Parvati, but also, the son of Lord Shiva, but also the son of Vayu. In this way, interesting. So now, our Hanuman, he grew up to be, a very nice young monkey, but a very mischievous young monkey. Yeah. So, but also, he grew up to be a very good singer, an extremely good singer. Now, I wonder, who is the best singer here in this Laxmi Narayan temple? Who is the best singer? You must have. Who's the best singer? Anyway, whoever it is. Well, Hanuman, see, when Hanuman sings, often rocks melt. Often. Because his singing is just so incredibly beautiful. Now, your best singer here is, when they sing, do rocks melt? Sometimes. Has one rock melted one time? Maybe not, I don't know, but I have my doubts. But in the case of Hanuman, this happens often. So here's a little pastime. Let us see if you're familiar with this. That now Hanuman, he's a young monkey, growing up a little bit, just a little. And one day he was outside, they had a palace, outside the palace. And who should come but Narada Muni, who was here with us just minutes ago. He gets around. So Narada Muni came. And Narada Muni himself is famous for being a great singer. A wonderful singer, and he loves singing. He just loves singing. So, Narada Muni had heard about Hanuman and heard about how Hanuman sings, just how outstanding his singing is and how sometimes the rocks melt when he sings. So Narada Muni came and approached Hanuman and said, I've heard so much about your singing, could you please sing for me? And Hanuman was very happy, yes, because he loves singing. So he started singing. And Narada Muni, he carries with him, well, you saw, his veena, sort of like a small version of a sitar or something along those lines, which he carries around. So Narada Muni, now he's sitting down, and he's got to put his veena down. He didn't want to put it on the ground, because the ground's dirty. So he put it on a rock, which was just behind him more or less. And now Hanuman is singing, and it is just so amazing and beautiful, just absolutely entrancing. And Narada just got carried away listening to it. But then he sort of glanced around where his veena was, and the rock the veena was on was melting. And the veena had started sort of sinking down into the rock. So Narada, he was shocked. And he just jumped up and shouted, "Stop! Stop singing! Stop now!" And poor Hanuman, he was shocked. What is going on here? And then he saw that, look, the veena is in the rock, but now he stopped singing. The rock sort of froze, cemented over the veena. Now, Narada tries to get the veena out. He can't get it out. What to do? There's only one thing to do. He asked Hanuman, Hanuman, could you please sing again? Just for a minute or two, and so I can get my veena out. And Hanuman said, What? At first you asked me to sing, I sing. Then you shout at me, and you tell me to stop singing. And now you ask me to sing again. What is this? Who do you think you are? I'm not going to sing again. It's your problem. Get your veena out of the rock yourself. And off went Hanuman back to the palace with Narada following him. Are you familiar with this story? I mean, those of you from Rhinelands, is it a new one for you?
Yes.
Maybe. So now Narada is following Hanuman. And Hanuman is going in and he enters the palace. And Narada's right behind him, begging him, I'm so sorry. I just got such a shock seeing my veena in the rock. Please forgive me, I didn't mean any of it. No, go away. Don't be rude. So anyway, in they went into the palace. Hanuman walked into one room, and Narada followed him. And then Hanuman walked out of that room into the next one, and Narada followed him, and then out and into another room, and out and into another room, and they went into all the rooms in the on the ground floor. And Narada's still pleading with him, please, no, I'm so sorry, please forgive me. Upstairs they went, and again into one room, and then into another room and another. And eventually, Hanuman had taken Narada into every room in the whole palace. And then Anjana came and said, Hanuman, what are you doing? Well, actually, he was not known as Hanuman at that time. He's not Hanuman yet. That's a little later. So he's Anjaneya. So Anjaneya, what are you doing, you naughty monkey? This is a great saint, Narada Muni, and if he wants you to sing, you sing. And just don't be mischievous. And Hanuman said, yeah, I know who he is. I know what a wonderful personality he is. In fact, he is so wonderful. I wanted to get the dust from his lotus feet in every room of our palace. And so now we've got it. Now I'll go and sing again. And he can take the veena out. So this is Hanuman. He is a transcendental character. Whew. Another event which I'm sure you're familiar with was that after a little while, Anjana, queen of the monkeys, but before that she was not queen of the monkeys. Anjana was like a demi-goddess or a devi, very high-level woman amongst the godly people in the higher planets, but it's a bit of a long story. But she was cursed to take the form of a monkey for a while, and then after a while she could give up the form of the monkey and return to the heavenly situation. So that time came while Hanuman is still, or Anjaneya is still young. So she's about to go, and Anjaneya, Hanuman says, well, you've been feeding me all the time. What am I meant to do? Feed myself? And feed yourself. Just get fruit, because she was feeding him with fruit. So just get fruit in the trees, up in the trees. Just take fruit and eat it. You don't need me for that. And Hanuman said, but fruit, how am I going to recognize the fruit? And she said, just look up in the tree and just look for things which are red and, orange and maybe some yellow, something like that. And that's fruit up in the trees. And off she went. So Hanuman looked up, and sure enough, through the leaves of the tree, he saw the sun. And the sun was yellowy, orangey, something like that. And he thought, right, that's a nice looking fruit. So off he went. And he didn't exactly swallow the fruit, but he took it and he held it in his mouth. So at that time, Indra, who is the king of the devas, the demigods, Indra was having a big, council meeting up there in the heavenly planets. But now Hanuman has taken the sun in his mouth and closed his mouth. And suddenly the meeting, the whole universe is in darkness. So what to do? What to do? How will we get the sun back? So Indra could understand where Hanuman or Anjaneya was. He hurled his Vajra, means his thunderbolt weapon, in the direction of Anjaneya, and it struck him in the lower jaw and damaged his lower jaw. This is how Hanuman got the name Hanuman, because Hanu means someone whose jaw has been damaged. And you see so many pictures of Sita and Lakshman and Hanuman, but the ones which show there's a little damage in his jaw, they are really sort of the most valid, technically valid pictures of Hanuman, because he has a slightly broken jaw from the Vajra of Indra. So then all the demigods came and they appealed to Hanuman, please open your mouth, let the sun out. No, you hurt my mouth, I'm not going to do anything to you. So Lord Brahma said, you can live as long as me. That's 311 trillion, 40 billion of our years. It's the longest living being in the universe. You can live as long as me. And Hanuman said, no. And then Agni came and said, he's the deity of fire. I bless you. Fire will never burn you. This is how Hanuman, when he was in Lanka, and, not exactly that he got caught, but he allowed himself to be caught and taken before Ravana. And then Ravana set his tail alight. I'm sure you know that pastime. And he went flying around and sort of burnt the whole city. But he was not hurt, because Agni had given him that blessing. You will not be burnt by fire. Fire may be there, but it won't hurt you. And Indra said, I bless you. You will be as famous as me. Vayu said, you'll be as fast as me. And Hanuman is just refusing and refusing. And then Lord Brahma, the creator, Lord Brahma, he read the mind of Hanuman. He has that telepathic mystical power. He wanted to understand, what is Hanuman thinking about? What does he want? And so he read the mind of Hanuman. And what was Hanuman thinking about? Tell me. Fruit! He was thinking of fruit. He is a fruitarian. Hanuman is a fruit, not even vegetarian, he's a fruitarian. So yeah, he was thinking of fruit, how I got this thing in my mouth, it doesn't taste so good. That was the sun. I want some proper fruit. So then, Brahma sort of stimulated Brihaspati, who's the guru of the demigods. Brihaspati told him that I will give you knowledge of all the fruits in the universe. I'll give you the knowledge of Ayurveda, so you can know what like the powers, curative powers of each type of fruit are, and of all the plants of all the trees. Any plant in the universe, you'll know it, and what use it can be put to, and what medicinal effect you can get from it. You'll know all of this. And Dhanvantari, who's a form of Lord Narayan, said, you put any medicine on anyone, even if they're dead, they'll come back to life. Will you please open your mouth? So Hanuman opened his mouth. Yes. So now I'll tell you one more little story, and maybe you know about this. That Hanuman being mischievous, he was very mischievous, I mentioned. And he would harass, sometimes he'd harass saintly people who are living in the forest. So there was one famous, but rather sort of touchy, sensitive sage living just in a little straw hut in the forest nearby. And that little hut had a front door and a back door. So Hanuman, as a joke, to have a laugh at the expense of the sage, he tied up an elephant at the front door and a tiger at the back door. And the sage, every morning when the sage would get up, he would immediately go out and use the toilet. So up he got, opened the front door. There's an elephant there. Just close the door. Okay, I'll go out the back door. Open the back door. There's a tiger there. Now he's trapped. And he's desperate. He's desperate. He has to use the toilet. Some of you may have had that experience before. So he didn't know what to do. Anyway, Hanuman sent away the tiger, the elephant, and opened the door and had a good laugh. And so that sage cursed Hanuman. You have so many powers, but I curse you. You will forget those powers now. And you will only remember that you have those powers when someone reminds you that you actually have these powers. Yeah. So on the spot, Hanuman forgot his powers. He had so much power, he could fly into the sky, catch the sun, hold it in his mouth. What sort of power is that? But now he had forgotten. So it's a bit of a long story, you know. So, to cut a long story, an extremely long story, somewhat short, Hanuman finally met Lord Ram just after Sita had been stolen, kidnapped. So, of course, he knew about Lord Ram. Hanuman knew about Lord Ram, knew he had a relationship with Lord Ram, but they had not met yet. So then they met, just like the same day, immediately after, within an hour or something like that, of Sita having been kidnapped. So Hanuman was living in that area with his monkey friends. So he couldn't speak with Lord Ram because Lord Ram was just too overwhelmed at the loss of Mother Sita. So Hanuman spoke to Laxmi. They said, Laxmi, we know this area. We will find Sita, but we haven't seen her. Can you please describe what she looks like? And Lakshman had been with Sita and Ram, it's coming up to 14 years, 13 years, something like that. And, 24/7. And Lakshman, you may be aware, he was not sleeping. He was not sleeping. He was staying awake 24 hours a day to guard Sita and Ram. In fact, he approached Nidra Devi, the demigoddess of sleep, and said, will you please just let me off sleeping for 14 years? I don't want to sleep at all. And she said, sure. You can stay awake for 14 years, the period of the exile. You can stay awake, but someone will have to sleep for you. So then, Lakshman's wife volunteered she would sleep for him. What's the name of Lakshman's wife? Urmila. Very good. You know more than the Gujaratis in PE. I'll say that for you. They didn't know that. So Urmila agreed to sleep, and she slept for 14 years. Yeah, so that her husband could stay awake and alert. So anyway, so Hanuman now, he's offering to help. But he can't speak to Ram because Ram's just too upset. So he spoke to Lakshman and he said, can you please just, we haven't seen Sita. Can you just tell us what she looks like? And Lakshman said, I don't know. And Hanuman said, well, look, hang on. You've been with them for the last 13 years or so. 24 hours a day. Now please tell me what she looks like. You must know what she looks like. And Lakshman said, I don't know what she looks like. And Hanuman got a little angry. But look, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. Will you please cooperate? Just tell me what she looks like. And we'll find her. And Lakshman said, I do not know what she looks like. I've never looked above her feet. And then he gave a very beautiful description of the feet of Sita, and particularly the soles of the feet, the bottoms of her feet. Because on the bottoms, the soles of her feet, there are special markings, like diagrams actually, sort of like pictures, in the bottom of her feet, just naturally there. So he described all of those. And so Hanuman took that in. So now the question is, well anyway, they worked it out. She must be in Lanka. Because who had seen them? Was it Jatayu or someone had seen them flying towards Lanka? So they must be on Lanka. But someone should go and just make sure she's there. So different monkeys volunteered. And one said, I can jump there, but I don't think I'd be able to jump back. But if you like, I'll try. But no, that's not going to work. So, they're kind of stuck. And then Jambavan, the king of the bears, he knew about the curse of Hanuman, on Hanuman. So Jambavan spoke to Hanuman and said, listen, I know you have the power. You can jump there and find her, and you can jump back. You just need to remember it. And suddenly, Hanuman remembered that he had all that power. So Hanuman jumped, and he found the Ashok grove. Ram gave him the ring. So he jumped over with the ring. And the idea of the ring is a couple of ideas. One idea is that will Sita recognize it? Or, any woman, because it could be any woman. When they see the ring, will they recognize this is Rama's ring? Or will they think, well, it's just another ring? That was meant to be a test for Sita. Does she recognize the ring? So she recognized the ring. Hanuman's looking around the Ashok grove. There's a whole lot of women there. And then there's Sita. And Sita recognized the ring. This is Ram's ring. But Hanuman was not convinced. Because, there's so many rings. So then he looked under her feet. And he saw the markings under her feet. And then he understood, this is definitely Sita. So he was about to jump back and tell Lord Ram that, it's confirmed, Sita is there. She's definitely there. Go and get her. But then Hanuman, having the sort of monkey aspect to his nature, he thought, let me get up to a bit of mischief here. Let me create a bit of disturbance here with these nasty people and just, teach them a lesson. So he started smashing the Ashok grove. And Ravan sent different soldiers, but none of them came back because Hanuman wiped them all out. Finally, there was one big soldier. He was a general. He came down and he confronted Hanuman. And now this is slightly X-rated, so just fasten your seatbelts, all right? Stay seated. Yeah, it's a little shocking. So this big general confronted Hanuman, said, "Who are you?" And Hanuman didn't say, "I'm Hanuman." He just said, "I am the servant of Ram." Now this big general, he was really one of the bad guys. And they didn't like Lord Ram. They'd heard about Ram. But they didn't like Lord Ram. So the general said, "Oh, that Ram! He's just a this and a that and the other thing." He started criticizing Ram to Hanuman. This is not a good idea to criticize Lord Ram in front of Hanuman. Very bad idea. And this man, when he spoke, he really sort of enunciated his words. If you get the idea, he would open his mouth very wide when he spoke. And so he's criticizing Lord Ram right in front of Hanuman. And Hanuman was about to kill him, but Hanuman suddenly got a great and immediate call of nature, if you understand what I mean. A great call of nature. He had to urinate like now. Immediately. So you know what he did, devotees and friends? He urinated in the general's mouth. Excuse me. Sorry. But that's what he did. And the general, he was ready to fight with Hanuman. But no one had ever urinated in his mouth before. He didn't know what to do. So he just panicked and he ran. And he ran back to Ravana. And he said, who's creating all the trouble down in the Ashok grove? It's a monkey. And Ravana said, did you kill him? And the general said, no, I didn't. And Ravana said, well, what happened? And the general said, he urinated in my mouth. Anyway, then it's a bit of a long story, but then they not exactly caught him, but he allowed himself to be caught. And then he set fire to Lanka. Then he jumped back Actually, he thought, I can carry Sita back. I can do it and jump back with her. But I will not do that because Ram has taken a vow to rescue her. I don't want to interfere with his vow, so I will not take her, although he could have taken her. So he jumped back, and the word of the incident with the general had gone back to Lord Ram. And so Lord Ram, he explained to Lord Ram, yes, Sita's there, she's definitely there. It's a fact. And then Lord Ram said, but listen, I heard that when you were there, you met some big general and you urinated in his mouth. And Hanuman said, yeah, that's right. And Lord Ram said, but you should have fought with him. He's a Kshatriya, he's a warrior. You should have fought with him. Why did you do that? That's not nice at all. And Hanuman said, well, you know, I'm a monkey. We do things like this sometimes. So anyway, I mean, so many things we could say, but let us just start concluding that in the end, I mean, the end meaning when, well, let me mention, that Ram and his army were just destroying the army of Ravana to the point there was only Ravana left. Ravana, whose name means he who can make you cry forever. Ravana. So he was the only one left alive. Everybody else was dead on his side. And Lord Ram had brought everyone back to life on his side. So, seeing Ravana in such a situation, Lord Ram approached Ravana and said, listen, just give me Sita back. That's all. Just give me Sita back. And what I will do, I will bring all your soldiers, relatives, friends, everyone, I'll bring them all back to life. And I will make them forget that we were ever enemies. And we will be friends. You and I, we will be friends. And you continue ruling Lanka. We will not take anything from you. Just give me Sita back. That's all. And Ravana unfortunately said, no. He wouldn't do it. The next morning he came out on the battlefield on his own, and there was Lord Ram's army. The number of warriors, mainly bears and monkeys, but some humans too. The number, the sort of Vedic Sanskrit number, how many warriors there were, Lord Ram said. 1 followed by 64 zeros. It is a Vedic number. It's called 1 Koti Maha Oga. 1 followed by 64 zeros. But Ravana had so much pride that when he came out and he saw this massive, just totally, astronomical army there, he thought, no problem, I'll just kill them all. He was overconfident. Anyway, Lord Ram confronted him, and you know the story. He was firing his arrows and knocking Ravana's heads off. He had 10 heads, but the heads were popping back up again. And I think we may have mentioned in the temple or at one of the programs, Ram was not firing at his heart because Ravan was obsessed with Sita, completely obsessed. He could not forget her. And which means she was present in his heart. Because when you think of a person, one of these great, great persons, they're present in your thoughts. So Ram would not fire an arrow at Ravan's heart because Sita was there. But then after so many heads had been knocked off, Ravana became frustrated and angry, and he forgot Sita momentarily, and Ram fired the Brahmastra right into the heart of Ravana. And that was the end of Ravana. Yes. So anyway, still a couple more points I want to make. Here's a good point. I mean, there's so many points, but after the battle, everything's over, Sita is rescued, and it's all over. And they're about to leave. But Lord Ram wanted to reward all the soldiers and everyone who had fought for him and helped him. So one by one he called everyone, millions of them, huge queue. And he called them, and he gave them all some gold, some jewelry, things like this. Every one of them. For hours going on. But Hanuman did not come. And finally, Lord Ram finished. Everyone, he's given everyone something, like some special gift, but not Hanuman yet. And then Hanuman came. And Lord Ram said, Hanuman, I've given everything away. I wanted to give you something, but I have nothing left. So what? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. And Hanuman said, no problem. No problem at all. You still have one thing you can give me. And Ram said, okay, what's that? Tell me what it is. And Hanuman said, you have one thing. It's very small. It's very, very small, but it is infinitely valuable. This thing is just the most special of all special things, and I want you please to give it to me. And Lord Ram laughed and said, all right, just tell me what it is. What do you want from me? And Hanuman said, just give me your name. That's all. Ram. Just give me your name. Because I know in your name is everything. All of existence is in your name. So you just please give me your name. And you're present in your name. So if you give me your name, you're giving me yourself. So Lord Ram gave Hanuman his name. And last one, here we go, devotees and friends. Thanks for being very patient. But here's the last one. And you never know, there might be a last one. But the last one is, I'm sure so many of you have been to India, some of you have been many times. And you would have noticed that you get these roadside little shrines or little temple-y type of little small things. And inside is Hanuman, often colored orange or sort of orangey red, something like that. At least orange, sometimes red. These little shrines for Hanuman. And of course there's so many temples where Hanuman is present in an orangey or reddy form. So what happened was, where this all comes from, is that when they returned to Ayodhya, then Mother Sita Of course, now she can dress properly. And now she was able to use sindoor in her parting. Sindoor. You all know what sindoor is, right? Am I right? I'm right, of course. Yes. So now she's wearing sindoor in her parting. But Hanuman had not seen her wearing sindoor. We hadn't seen anyone wearing sindoor. Apparently in the monkey community they don't do that. So he saw her, and Hanuman came and he's sort of looking at her, kind of checking her out. He said, what happened to you? Did you hit your head? Or something like that. And Sita said, no, this is sindoor. I wear it for Ram. All married women, they wear sindoor in their partings because it brings auspiciousness to their husbands. So I'm wearing it for Ram, so you'll live a long life and be very healthy and strong. I wear it for Ram. And Hanuman said, really? You wear it for Ram? And it brings him good health and strength. Oh, that's really interesting. And off he went, just thinking, wow, it's good for Ram. And then Lord Ram came and was speaking with Sita in the same place. Suddenly, this orangey red figure jumped out. Orangey red from head to toe. Jai Shri Ram! And Sita and Ram had taken aback. Wow, what happened here? And they realized it's Hanuman. And Lord Ram said, Hanuman, what have you done this for? You've covered yourself in sindoor. And Hanuman said, yes, that's what I've done. Because Sita told me, all she does, she puts a little in her parting. And it's very good for you. And I want the best for you. So I'm just going to wear sindoor all the time. Just for you, because it's so good for you. And Lord Ram said, well, thank you, but it's okay. It's all right, Hanuman. You don't need to do that. But that's where it came from, that sort of tradition. And so, married ladies, we have a few here, I do know. Just remember that, okay? Yeah, if you want your husband to live a long life and be strong and healthy and like that, wear your sindoor. And if you don't want your husband to live a long life, you'd like to collect the life insurance for someone, we'll leave it in your hands what you do. Yes, okay. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki. Shri Ram Navami Mahotsava Ki. Hare Krishna. Hare Rama. So there you go, everyone.